Well, good morning or afternoon, everyone. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between and beyond. I'm glad you guys could join me on this fine day. Uh, so, hi, I'm Calvin Evans. You've probably seen my drawings on the interwebs somewhere. Maybe. I'm assuming you have because I've been only advertising this for Twitter. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you guys could come out and watch as I begin work on a new project I've been thinking about for a while. Like a while. So let me try to explain what I'm thinking here. So let me switch over my scenes. All right. So for a long time, I've enjoyed like the Mario Party series. You've probably seen it. The typical thing of move around a board, you play a mini game at the end of every turn, that kind of thing. But for a while, I feel like they could have done more, and that's emblematic of like recently we've got like Mario Party, Super Mario Party, and it's good, but it's I think we could go a little bit further. And I think there's some ideas that they've touched on upon throughout the series that I think we could go. I personally can go even further with. So yeah, I've got this Photoshop window open, and I'm going to kind of explain my thought process of how we're going to go about doing this. So let me put down my hand, stop looking at the camera, and I'm going to grab my drawing tablet. Pardon the noise. That's just me going into my desk drawer to get my tablet. Also, sorry if this is ever unprofessional or anything. It's the first time I've personally done live streaming. I've streamed before for my church and my work, but this is the first time I'm doing it for little old me. Also, I'm gonna fix my hand because this is also the first time I'm using Character Animator. It's a really nice software by Adobe where you can get set up your own face rig or your own rig for your own character. It's very good. You can set up it just the way you want, but still kind of getting used to the controls because I've got my little Stream Deck. I'm sending out MIDI commands to move arms so I can do things like a point or a ha karate chop action. I can do a wave. So a lot of fun stuff. Okay, my hand's back. I can kind of explain my thought process. All right. So for my party game, I'm tentatively calling it the Untitled Party Game. Totally aping off the Untitled Goose Game title. Probably will not be remaining Untitled Party Game forever, but for right now, we're going this. So let me whip out the tablet. All right. So let me kind of explain what I'm doing here. So there's really in my opinion three pillars to what makes a good Mario Party. So over here we got the board, okay? How they design the boards, how they design the play of the board. So in Mario Party, the 9 for 10 people really did not like Mario Party 9 for 10 because of the way they dealt with the movement of the board. You are all in one car, you all move together. It was not great. But in the other Mario parties, you all moved around, you went to different stars, and you bought them at different prices. I think there's some places we can kind of improve that. I think mainly just in the terms of settings. Ooh, that was bad spelling, Calvin. Yeah. So in terms of settings, I think a lot of variety. If I The first Mario Party I ever played was Mario Party 8 for the Wii, and what I really liked what they did there was that each board felt like its own kind of video game almost. Like you had a Monopoly kind of board. You had kind of a uh, just a normal Mario Party board. You had one that was just a straight line. Each one played very differently. And I think that was a neat idea for the time, but I think it'd be good to have a nice variety of okay, here's five or two or three boards that are like, you know, normal Mario Party. My wrist broke there. Don't worry about it. I think it's a good idea to have a good mix of, hey, here's the boards that you can play like a normal Mario Party. Here's some fun adventuring type boards or more like different kinds of boards. So big thing, we want to get good board design for the game. Uh, Next thing I think is character, and I mean that well, character characters. In this case, I'm talking about how a lot of the Mario parties. I think what makes a good Mario Party opposed to like like a there's been a ton of like other indie games that have tried to do a Mario Party, but they haven't quite hit the mark. I think the big thing is the character. Like you can look at a Mario Party and say, oh, it's got like these kind of bubbly fonts. It's got the, the fun characters in this case. Uh, but the other games don't really have that. Like I've seen a lot of streams of the Pummel Party. It looks phenomenal. It looks great. Like they've done a really good job with the mini games. But I think it just needs a little bit more of its own style. Like it feels kind of styleless. I don't know. It's got its own style, but it doesn't feel like it's this unique thing. So I think both characters, who you play as. Let me. That was bad. You play. I cannot write with my tablet as well. Who you play as. Well, let me fix this. Okay, variety. Who you play as, and then the style. Also, let me know like in the chat if like my volumes are okay. I'm still kind of getting used to all the settings here. So it's who you play and the style of the game. Like I think one thing that could be really beneficial is if there was a. I am live, right? Sorry, sorry for being a little scatterbrained at the moment. Still getting used to the whole streaming thing. Okay, cool. Uh, Sorry, I'm just paste. Okay. I'm also quickly sending out notifications to other platforms. Oop, my story. All right. And one more time. One more. Once again, sorry about this. Here, I'll throw a fun action on here. Quotes. Look at my wrist break. Okay. So sorry about that. Okay. So we got the style, who you play as. I think what I can do personally is I can make it so, for the style at least, make it a consistent theme across the board and the mini games. Well, I've got a few in mind. Well, and I think it could be a good style that can kind of tie a variety of different types of mini games, but also tie in the theme of the boards across all of them. Don't want to share what that is yet, just in case it all goes kaplooey. But for right now, I've got a few ideas in mind. I won't matter it won't matter for a little bit, just because we're going to be working gray box style for most of it, where it's just generic textures while we get things ready. But I think this will be the way to go. Okay, so board characters. Oh, and for who you play, I think once again, I it's who you play. Like people love playing Mario or like Peach or Waluigi, who has a huge fan base. So it's a matter of how can we get that level of iconicness with my own characters. I don't think I can do that. I mean, I think I consider myself a good character designer, but I'm not Mario Maker. So I think what I can do here is, instead of having like pre-built characters that you have to like kind of get used to, I think we can do like customizable characters. So basically, give the players a toolbox to make any person in the world they want. So if someone's like, "Yo, I really want to make Darth Vader versus Abraham Lincoln," I give them the tools, I give them everything they need to make that happen, so that way they can kind of make these their own fun situations. If you've seen the video game Soul Calibur 6, it's got a really great character customizer, and you can make these kind of crossovers that would only be possible in that game. And I think that's kind of what I want to approach. Is just such a breadth of options for character customization that you can make anyone. Okay, so we got the board. We'll figure that out later. Characters, we're going to do that later. Today, we're going to be working on mini games. I think that's the third pillar. Minima games. Mini games. I think that's the third pillar of how we're going to make this a great game. So, for mini games, I think big thing is not sure if I get the right word. Expandability, I guess, is what I'm thinking of. Is basically a lot of the times Mario Party has like, okay, here's the. Okay. With a lot of the Mario Parties, you got like, okay, here's the free for all mini games. Here's the two-player mini games, and a lot of the times it's like, well, why are they split up like this? Because you could very easily make mini games that work for all the players. So what I think we can approach well with this system is make it so each game is expandable. So if one player plays it, it'll scale it back. If it's like 5 players or like 8 players, I'm thinking it can scale it back up to that kind of level of playability. That way, you're not feeling like, okay, the game says it has like 80 mini games, but I'm only ever seeing like 20 of them because I'm only playing with 4 people. So expandable is a big thing. I want them also to be deep and like, I'm not sure if deep is the right word here because basically I want it to be back. Okay, so let's go a little story time here. Let me find the right button to go into story time. Okay, so back in Mario Party 8, there was this minigame called like King of the Hill. And basically it was like this tournament style fighting game where you like fought one player and then your teammate would fight the other teammate, and whoever went up to the next stage would win, and then would go into a tournament against the other person. So it became this kind of cool like tournament mode fighting game. It was very cool, and I really really liked it. Only problem was that since it was a mini game, it was over in a few seconds, and you could only play it when it was really in the rotation because Mario Party 8 had a here you could just play all the mini games any one you want. But with that feature, it's always like, okay, these mini games are never meant for more than like 2 seconds of play. So expanding it, kind of just jumping into mini game over and over again gets repetitive very quickly. So with that in mind, I think I know how to fix this. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand down, for one, and look over here. So I'm going to make them so you could basically the game mini game. It's the logic of it will not care if it's playing for like a minute or 5, or if it, like give it every mini game enough options so you could hop into its own separate mode. So like say we have like a first person shooter mini game. You can make it so in the normal board play you only have 1 life, but in the like the separate off the board game mode, you could play it and it'll keep on respawning. Basically, give every minigame options to be played indefinitely. And that's how I'm thinking of making this game. But so today we're going to be focusing on right here, the minigames. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get working on just making enough for one minigame. I'm going to make like basically a minigame template for like, okay, here's how we make a minigame kind of thing. And I've watched a lot of like architecture videos and like, okay, here's how you structure your game. I think this is how we're going to do it. Basically, everything's going to be very modular. So what we've got here is basically there's going to be a scoreboard in the minigame. It does not care what the scores are or what kind of scores are. It doesn't matter if it's like number of apples, distance. It'll basically be compare each. It'll have all the float values. So, 12 apples or 0.5 feet. It won't care what it's got. It'll be storing all that data as players score or remove score. Then we'll have something trigger a end. It'll calculate the score, and then it will give a winner. It'll decide the winner based on who had the biggest score or who had the least score. That's all dependent on this minigame input object I'm going to make, where it'll have the ID or the sets needed for the minigame. Like, okay, we're going to be playing bumper balls. I'm not going to be making a bumper balls minigame, but that's what we're going for. Then you'll also have the amount of players or who's playing. Like, is it going to be player 1 and player 4, all 4 players, that kind of thing. Then I'll also have teams, all that stuff. It'll input that into the minigame manager, or actually it won't input it into it. Basically, the minigame manager will have access to all this data, but it won't care what's setting that data. Then after the minigame, it will output all that stuff into a minigame output object, where it'll say, okay, it's basically like just a receipt, I guess is the best way to describe it. Where basically we're going to throw all the info, like, okay, here's how much the currency they got in this, in Mario Party it's usually like coins or all that, and then it'll also place, okay, how did everyone place? Was everyone first place? Was there like one first place and everyone was lost? That could be useful for like in Mario Party you had the bonus stars. So that's what we put there. And also I'm thinking for my game, a lot of the times the board and minigames are kind of disjointed from each other, where it'll be like you could almost replace the minigames with anything and it would not matter, it affect the board with anything. So what I'm going to do is basically have it more interplay between them. So in this case, the minigames, you could get like items that you could use in the board along with the coins. So it could be a strategy, like maybe you're doing like a race game and, okay, like here's the track and you're going along, but there's an item that's a little bit off the beaten path. I could use that in the board, so maybe I'll take a loss instead of a win just to get that item useful for the actual board. Okay. And then I've got states. But before we even get to that, I'm sorry if this is going to be a little bit dense. Or this isn't meant as a tutorial or anything, but it's meant as more just kind of me verbally explain my thought process as I try to figure this out. And maybe I'll need some like viewer feedback when we get to it, just because got a lot of things that might need a little tweaking. So here's how a normal Unity project uses the new player input manager. Basically, you have the player input manager. It receives the input from a controller. It's like it receives, we got the A button pressed. Spawn a player. Spawns a player object with everything hooked up, like, okay, use this controller, your player 5, whatever. And then you have the player, press move, press a button, and it'll act on the player. The problem with how this works normally is that, okay, if I remove all of this, I need a new layer. This is by ahead. Calvin's trying to explain his thought process. He needs a new layer. Okay. So basically, if in a normal scenario, if I want to just test the player, make sure I got like all of the animations and everything right. If I want to do that normally, I'd have to make sure I spawn in the player, because if this doesn't exist, I get a whole bunch of errors. So what I've found is through a Unity talk, I'm going to try to find a link for it later. They explain that using that different like objects that basically pass the data along. So instead of this direct path of move directly to player, button directly to player, we instead throw that through these events that call out to things. So basically the player does not the puppet here does not care where it's getting its signals from. It just cares that when it gets it. And in this case, and the player input does not care what's hearing these inputs. It just cares that it's sending out the inputs. So basically today we're going to work on making these things. And I've made a test project a while back, or a few weeks ago, trying to just kind of figure this out. And I think I'm going to basically be copying and pasting a lot of code here. So, I think I'm going to have to put away the Calvin puppet for a little bit just because my computer is exploding from heat. So, Calvin will be back later. I hope you guys enjoyed the puppet. He'll be back later when we do wrap up. All right, well, say goodbye to Calvin puppet. Bye! One moment as I hide everything. All right. Now we want to quit Photoshop. Put away my drawing tablet. Also, make sure you're like if you're joining me right now, I don't want to do too many calls of action, but I'd really like to ask that you please subscribe. I want to eventually I'm going to make more videos, like actual videos on this channel besides just live streams of me futzing around trying to make a game. So I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe because eventually I'd like to enable monetization on the channel. And in order to do that, I need 1,000 subscribers and 40 viewer hours. So the more subscribers we can get on now, the sooner I can get paid for doing this. And that'd be very nice because I don't have a job at the moment. Okay, so here's what we got so far. I've just basically made a pretty bright, I want to put quotation marks around blank, but basically a project that's got nothing but the bare essentials I need to get things working. Well, hide character animator. So we've got empty scene, all that stuff. I've got a few nice packages put together here. Big things are the Cinemachine. I really like Cinemachine. It's a package to basically enhance the camera control. So I can set up targets, I can do all that stuff. It's going to be very useful later when we're doing mini games where we need like keep a lot of players in frame or need to like move the camera in very specific ways. So this will be very important. I've also got, let me find in project. Also the input system, very good because it's going to be kind of how we're relying on a lot of things. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is make a folder for my scriptable objects. And basically, a scriptable object is a file that kind of exists outside of a given scene. So basically, here's the scene. Everything in this is very self-contained. It's like a bottle. Like here's all the code of like, okay, here's the main camera. Here's the lighting. I could add a player in there. And then when we unload it, it's gone. Nothing will stay in here. Ooh, hang on, sorry. My phone just told me Amazon took some money off of my account. That's neat. Okay, so we going to change what we're currently working on. One moment. Programming. Input. Boop. Zoop. Swoop. Doop. There we go. Make sure, if you guys see that, please tell me, because I want to make sure it works. Okay. Okay, I can see it in the preview. Also, let's turn that down a little bit. All right. So, scriptable objects, basically, there are files that exist outside of scenes. So, I can throw a variable in there and it'll stay between scenes. I can then access another scene, don't have to worry about it being unloaded. So I'm going to create a new C# script. What input event. Let's load up Visual Studio. While that's loading, I'm going to kind of once again reiterate, this is not a tutorial in any sense. This isn't meant for someone to watch and be like, oh, that's how you make a video game. It's more of a, here's how Calvin went about something. Maybe kind of watch as he works through things, and not in a therapy sense. Okay. I'm also going to open, actually that was a bad mistake because now we're going to see Calvin's file system. Nope. Open recent. I had made this before. Input event. I made this in my test project. I want to move it over here just so you don't have to see old bad code. And also I want my listener. Okay. Basically we're going to make two events or two system objects. Wow. Two scriptable objects. Also sorry if I'm shouting. Still getting used to mic levels. Just tell me if it's a little annoying. Input event listener. Cool. Load. Okay. So now we got our two projects. And if you're not a coder, don't worry about this. Once again, this isn't a tutorial. It's more just Calvin kind of going through the process to kind of come up with stuff. So I'm not going to, I'll try to keep things pretty simple. I guess I can kind of explain what a script is. So script is like a written script in like play terms. It basically just tells whatever object it's attached to, like, okay, here's your roles, and these voids are called functions, basically, where when it'll be called and then it'll run for all the stuff in here. So in this case, I gotta tell it, oh, no updates, please. Debug .log hello. So whenever the Unity system tells it start, go up for all this and say, oh, we're going to tell the debugger, put a little message in there, say hello. So in this case, let me just throw this on a light. Keep your eyes on the console. Sometimes you get that too. All right, I remember this being a challenge. What did I do? All right, I had to get rid of all the debuggers. And packages. It's post-processing. What do I know? I remember one of these. Oh, there we go. Runtime. Okay. Sorry about this. I remember in my testing I found this as a weird tick. Render pipeline. Runtime. Gonna get rid of all that. Debugging. Just nuke it. Yeah. Maybe. I did this before. I can't remember what I did though. Can't delete it. Okay. Sorry about this, folks. You got to see Calvin on the fly try to figure out what in the system's breaking. Okay, I'll just open up the script. Oh, right. Okay, I remembered how I fix this. Since I'm using the new input system, a lot of the old Unity stuff is still not quite meant for using the new input system. So basically, I need to re-enable the old input system with the new input system. And that was in project settings. Yeah. Input sys. Oh, input man. Nope. It was not there. It was over here in player settings, build settings, player settings. Over here. Input. Wait, no. Player. Okay. Right. Uh, sure is fun. If anyone sees, oh, there it is. Both. Apply. Save. All right. Need a restart. Okay. While it's restarting, because this might take a while, I guess I can kind of explain uh, my game development background because I've enjoyed programming for a while. Back in middle school and elementary school, I enjoyed making games on the old website Scratch. It was basically a trying to think of the word. It was instead of like programming with like typing every little line for your code, it was a visual editor. So you like attach these components together and hit play, and it would run through all these components in order. Uh, then in as I kind of went from middle school to high school, I found Unity, and I've been kind of just using that ever since. Where it's really nice for for programming. I guess there was one moment back in maybe was it middle school. I also learned a little bit of how to do programming for iOS, so I could make my own iPhone games. That didn't pan out, but it was good. It was a good stepping stone into learning how to program, and I enjoyed it. But then I found Unity, and that's kind of been my bread and butter for a while now, just because I really like how open it is and how seemingly you can export your project into anything. So, with that said, it's Unity's back. Let's try running to show what scripts are like. So, we've got the script attached. When I hit play, since the directional light, it'll go through here and say, oh, on void start, we're going to run through everything here between these brackets. And hit play. And it didn't work. Look at that. So, time to do what we call debugging. Input. Did I not save? Didn't save. Also a common error on Calvin's part. Switch over, please. Switch over, please. There we go. Okay, that's good. It flashed its meant, which means wow, which means it was recompiling. So let's hit play. Yep, there we go. Hello. So that's basically the basics of how a script works. Included with the 10 minutes of me trying to get things working again. That's also part of scripting. Okay, so now we're going to turn it into a scriptable object, which means, for one, it will not work as a script. So, goodbye. Project. Okay, just keep things clear. Now, if I want to turn into a scriptable object, I need to get rid of all this and turn this into scriptable object. And I'm also going to need, up here in this using section, basically we're telling the script, like, okay, here's all the outside frameworks you're going to need. So in this case, we're going to need all the inputs to some words. Without this, when we put in like use or get the button input or whatever, it will not understand what we're talking about. But this basically is our like, here's your dictionary of words you can use. So I'm going to make it so I can make my own asset, create asset menu, file name. I'm still not 100% sure on the context, so or the way this is written. So let me just kind of look directly at my old script. All right. Yeah. So basically, we're telling Unity itself we're going to when we use the the add menu to add something in the files, we can go this create menu, add a new folder up here to create a new input event. And there we go. So I'm going to delete that. We're not ready for that step yet. All right. So we got that. Anyone in chat? No one's in chat. That's okay. It's a Wednesday afternoon. People are probably watching the Last of Us state of play. List input. Now, this is going to get complicated because basically we're telling both of these to work off of each other. So we're going to kind of jump back and forth. There's going to be a lot of red errors as listeners. That's correct. Equals new list input event. Cool. Public void. Okay. So here we've got a list of all the things that are listening to it. Basically, this folder or this file over here is our radio station, and over here, here's our radios. So basically, we're going to get a list of all the radios that are connected to us. And when someone calls this player index, sorry if I'm a little quiet right now. It's just a lot of typing. So when something calls, basically someone's calling the station like, hey, here's my player number, here's the value I want you to pass. We're going to go through our list of input listeners, dot count. So we're going to create a temporary, this for loop, the syntax is a little wacky, so hold on as I kind of explain what I'm doing. So let me finish this up. Okay. So we're going to make a new temporary variable. An int is short for integer, so negatives and positives, no. So 1, 2, 3, 23, all these are ints. These are ints too, all that. What I'm typing right now, that's a float. So it's how you get your decimal points. It takes up a little more space, so if we can prioritize an int, it's best to use an int. So basically, we're going to create a temporary integer. We're going to make it equal to the amount of player or the amount of listeners we got, the amount of radios. And we're going to remove it by 1. So 1 less than the amount, because the way indexes work is that they, instead of going from here's object 1, here's object 2, here's object 3, it goes here's object 0, here's object 1, here's object 2. So it gets a little complicated. So when we've got a list of 5 objects, we need to start from 1 less, because going to object 5 as an index, it does not like that. So basically, we're going to make this equal to the end of our list. Then we're going to keep on going through this section as long as we are greater than or equal to 0 for our integer. And then at the end of each loop, we're going to remove one from the integer. So we got like, I should have kept my drawing open. I don't want to open up Photoshop again. One moment. Look away as I move this up. That's probably a bad idea. Okay. Hope no one saw it. So we're going to do, basically we're going to go through each object through the list from the very end of the list to the very beginning of the list and go, okay, here's what we're going to do. I want to know if the player index up here that we got is equal to the player index of what the current radio we're testing. Index. YouTube is not receiving enough data. Sorry. Streaming is going a little wonky. All right. Input. On event. Raise. Value. All right. Cool. Okay. So we're going to say, okay, for your radio 5, does your player index match the one we're looking for? Okay, oh, it does. Okay, in that case, we're going to tell you to raise this value to process a function with the input value we're passing through. So that's the raise. Over here, we want to, now we're going to make it basically a way to register our listeners. Register listener. Input event listener. Listener. Wrong kind of brackets. Boop, boop. If our list of listeners does not, event listeners, that contains, basically we're just making sure if we don't already have this listener in our list, then we can go ahead and add it. Just like that. And no red error symbols, that's good. Public void register, or you want to unregister. Basically we want to say, oh, maybe this, whoever's listening over here, that object is removed. We don't want it to keep on trying to get stuff, receive input, so we're just going to remove it from our list. Input event listener. And just double check. We're going to make sure that, hey, are you actually part of our list? Check. Ba-doop, ba-doop. And if we are, well, then we're going to remove it from our list. Listener. Cool, just like that. Now input event is all set to go. Now we need to get our code for the listener. So once again, we're going to get rid of all that. Oh, I remember what I did for this. Okay. This actually is a model behavior. Basically, it's a script we're going to attach on things. So public int player, spell player, right? Index. Okay, I used a little bit of code here. Okay. For right now, we're going to do public. Or I need a few things up here. Okay, but one thing at a time. One thing at a time, Calvin. Event. Up here, we're going to need to tell the system, okay, we're going to need you to listen or get a new dictionary for a few words. In this case, we're going to need Unity engine dot input system using Unity engine dot events, spell events right. Boop, boop. And we're going to need using system. And over here, we'll come back to that. We also don't need this stuff. We're basically not using any of the terms it needs from there. Okay, and we're going to need a callback event. Callback event. Why don't we use that? Might have an error. Response. Okay, it works up top, so we'll just keep on going until the end. Private void on enable. When the object this thing's attached to turns on, we're going to get the event up top, this guy, and say, yo, I really want to know. Oh, it's actually input event. Input event. Well, I'll grab that and say, oh, okay, input event, can you listen for one moment? I want to register myself to you. So every time, so we'll call this, and then over here, you'll be like, oh, okay, so we're going to add you to our list here. Because you're not on our list, you're on our list. Boom. You're ready to go. And just to be safe, every time this thing is disabled, we want to make sure, oh, okay, I no longer exist, or I'm being turned off here. In that case, unregister me from the list. Boop, boop. Just like that. So then we can go get through this on event arrays stuff. What is this? Well. Event raised. The input value. Response. Oh, I remember why this won't work now. Response.invoke. So basically, whatever we've got plugged in up here, we want to tell it, okay, use this value for your whatever we're telling up here. And I remember why callback event doesn't work, because it doesn't exist yet. Because we need to make it serializable, public, class, event, or callback event. I should probably input. No, callback event's fine. Callback event, Unity event, input value. Just like that. So basically we're telling it, okay, your old Unity input system or event system, we're going to use that, but with the extra caveat of having input values. That's what a callback event is. So everything is the same, but you're also going to be passing input values along with it. And then in my tests, I also added little tooltips, just so I can remember what I'm doing. To register with. Sorry if this is a little dense. We're almost through the coding bits. Response to invoke when event is raised. So, to recap, when an object has this event listener script attached to it, it's going to quickly go, okay, what's this event here I got? Okay, I want this event. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to attach myself as a listener. I'm going to register myself as a listener. So that way, whenever something calls raise, in this case, like the player presses a button, it's going to get the index and the value of what the input was, and then go through its list, find the player that's listening for that event. Go, oh, okay, then we're going to go over here, and we're going to tell it on event raised, you're going to pass this value over to whatever. So in terms of what practically what this means is the player presses a button, click, it will send it through the event into the listener. The listener is going to talk to whatever it's going to control. So in this case, maybe jump. It'll run its jump script whenever the jump button is pressed. Player presses jump, sends an event. Listener hears the event. Listener tells the jump script to do the jump. Just like that. That's coding, folks. Look at that thing spin. Ooh, look at her spin. Okay. So while we're waiting, uh, let me talk to you about Scratch. Scratch is very good. It was the coding I used for since elementary school through middle school. It's very simple if you want to get into coding. I think just go like Scratch. They might be .NET but now, but basically just search like Scratch coding, and you'll start learning how to code pretty easily. Okay, now we're loaded back in. We need controls. Now, you need a new input system. Very good. Still kind of trying to figure out the ropes for it, but that's okay. We're going to learn together. Input actions. These are going to be our minigame controls. I'm going to make that one word just to be safe. Tell it to make classes so we can access that stuff by code. And let's get into it. I'm going to disable my mic for a moment to take a sip of water. That was refreshing. Okay, so here's the new input system. We got action maps, actions, and properties. So let's make a new action map. Let's make this gray box. So over here is basically the types of controls we got. So you could have like in a normal game you could have like here's the controls for walking around. Here's the controls for driving a car. Here's the action maps for flying a plane. And then each one's got its own set of actions, which are like, okay, here's the controls for or the different actions you want. Like, okay, I want jumps, I want, fire, all that stuff. Oh, we are really wanting to load today, aren't we, honey? Okay. I'll make this real simple for now. I'll make this move. Give it a byte ending of keyboard. Actually, we'll just do test. I want you to listen to the Q button. So, every time the Q button's pressed, it'll go up. Oh, we're going to send the action stuff. Save this. Oh, we are... This whole streaming idea might not be a good idea if my computer can't handle moving a window. Or maybe yeah. Yeah, I'm looking over to OBS, which I'm using to stream, and it's at 41% of my CPU is being used by OBS. That's a lot. Maybe if I disable the preview, might help a little bit. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. Okay. So I'm going to make a new object called Player Input Manager. Input Manager. And to attach my Player Input Manager thing, this comes with the new input system. Send messages. When button is pressed, Okay, we need a prefab. Well, we need a player first. So basically, whenever the join button's pressed, it'll spawn this thing. We don't have anything yet, so we need to make a new player. Player. Okay, we got our player, and we need a player input. Just like that. In this case, so I'll just attach my action. Gray box. Cool. Send messages. So basically, it's got our list of maps here. So in this case, since it's got the test action, every time the test button is fired, we'll use on test, and that's how we'll make sure any script that hears on test will do it. I really explained that poorly. This might not be a good idea. Okay. Think, think, think. Think, senora. Thinking of. Oh, I got a folder for my test scripts. Do test input. How's everyone doing today? We should have renamed it the right thing. I don't want to stop the stream just to make my computer feel a little better, especially not while we're like mid-process of doing cool things. I want to at least get the player inputs done on stream, just so you can kind of see how humbly we start. It might be a thing where I'll only stream next time when I've got like here's where we're making a mini game, just so you're not seeing me look at code and loading for forever. Test input, test action, open up, please. Oh, we're over here now. Why are we over here, buddy? Come back over here. All right. So same kind of thing. We're going to get our test action void on test. Ooh, I forgot how to do this. Ooh. Engine.input, I think I need that. Void on test, we're going to also grab Calvin, stop. Calvin needs to stop doing the clicking noise, Calvin. Input test. Okay, I've got my old test project open, or the scripts from it, so we can look at here. Okay. That's right. I need to get a public input event and test event. Test event raise. That's right, that's right. We're going to get the player get component, player input. That's on the wrong side. Stop. Player index. Value. What's value, you may ask? Good question. Script. So is this even readable on stream? I should maybe make it zoom in a little bit. There we go, that's a little better. So we're also going to grab the input value, just like that. And then for our test action, what do we want to do? We're going to attach this to a listener. So void test action. Test. Wow, Calvin. Wow. Unity engine dot input system. Yeah. We're gonna grab that input value. Wow. We can. I think I remember this being a thing. What value? Oh, need to make this public. Otherwise, nothing will call it. Why do I like that? Oh, because it's the same name here. Okay, so let's ignore that. We're going to do just call it action. Wow. In this case, I'll just transform dot position equals new vector 3. A vector 3 is a vector that's 3. It's basically a series of 3 floats. So in this case, our position. And so we can access our previous position, transform that position. Oh yeah, okay. From now on, no more coding streams or directly coding streams. There'll be more game design streams because my computer cannot handle me typing plus like 0.5f. Transform. I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope everyone's having a fun stream, enjoying their time here. Might be a little rough. I'm very sorry about that. Hope you're at least having a little bit of fun watching me code away. If you're here, we want to sound off in chat just so I know those 2 concurrent viewers aren't myself somehow. That'd be nice. If I got any friends in chat, maybe who I've mentioned or messaged in Snapchat or in Discord, that'd be cool. Speaking of Discord, if you're one of my friends who I've got on my Pensword Discord, we might be able to get you on as like a caller sometime. Okay. Let's test this thing out. Helps if you switch to the right program, Calvin. Okay, I'm going to make this guy a prefab. Basically, it's going to exist as its own file that other objects can spawn in. And then over here, I'm going to make a new object. In this case, let's make a. Everyone uses like capsules or cylinders. I'm going to use a cube, just for fun. Look at that cube. It's a good cube. Kids love it. We're going to make this our. We'll just rename it. Just keep things straight. Player puppet or puppet player. Oh, puppet player. Put listener. Test action. Okay. So we need to make a scriptable object. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is interesting. Sorry. Minigames. Scriptable objects. Input event. This is going to be our test. We are going to then say, this is your event. Whenever you hear it, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take this test action. In that case, we don't even need this, so for now, we can get rid of that. Wait, switch over to Unity. I want to take a sip of water. Be right back. I didn't even leave, I just muted. Action. Yeah, okay. So then, we are done with the prefab. Player. Add one component, the test input. Grab test. Just like that. Just like that, folks. So then we go over here, tell the player input manager to, hey, when we spawn in, here's what we want you to do. When we got a new controller, spawn in this guy. And hook everything up just how we need. So, theoretically, when I clear out my errors, ignore those. When I hit play, actually, oh boy, it's gonna take a while to load. Yeah, we're going to be doing game design streams from now on. No programming. It takes way too long to get to the good stuff. Okay, you see that cube? A little gray. I'm gonna change its color real quick before we test. Make a folder, test. What's a good color? Anyone have a suggestion in stream? Material. Test. Cube. Okay, I'm thinking of nice red. Well, how about a pink? Pink or yeah. Yeah, there we go. Nice pink cube. Make it maybe a little smooth. Yeah. Then we can just drag that on the puppet. Just drag it on the puppet. Oh my gosh. Yay! Yeah, okay. Maybe game design streams aren't the option either. Maybe just here's Calvin's progress for the week. That might be better because, whoo boy. Oh boy. Yay, pink cube. We love it. Kids love it. Okay. I'm also going to change the layout here so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. So right here, we got our scene view. Here's our player input manager. Here's our puppet. Now, when I hit play, we can see we got no players. Such a shame. But then when I hit Q, got a new player right there. And it's got the user, 0. That's because there's only one user. And indexes go from 0, then 1. They start at 0. So got keyboard. So now, theoretically, when I hit Q button, this cube will move up. Q. Woohoo! Just like that. That's simple. Now, buttons are good, but we also want probably have a little bit of movement too. So, let's make a new input, and so we'll start with our scriptable objects, inputs, minigames. Make a new one. Make a new input event. Test. Move. Cool. And right now, this doesn't even care what it's attached to. Making it with scriptable objects makes it so we can have a lot of levels of abstraction. This object does not care what it's being fed, doesn't care what it's outputting. And the player input does not care what is hearing, and whatever we're talking to does not care who's sending. It makes it so we don't have a whole bunch of errors when we remove things. So, let's hop back in here. I want to make new things. And over in the input section, I want something. Oh, actually, let's start from where it all begins. Over here, back in Unity. Go over to my controls, my mini game. Hope my volume's okay for you guys. Sorry if it hasn't been. No way to test really, besides let me physically listen to myself, and that would be boring. We're going to do a test move. Hmm. Test move in this case. I don't want. Actually, let's delete. Oh, it's always button. I forgot. Okay. Test. Test move. Add a instead of a button, it's going to be a value. It's going to be a vector 2. In this case, so vector 2s are like vector 3s, but one less. In this case, we are using it for like horizontal, so we can have an x and y, and like we would for just moving left, right, up, down. And so I'm going to move this, add a nice 2D vector composite. So WASD. So we can, for up, we have the W button. When we want to move down, we hit the S. When we want to move left, we hit A. And when we hit the D button, we go right. Now we can save that. And if we go back over to our player with the player input component attached, and we wait and we wait and wait. Okay. Now if we look over here, on test move is now one of the things we can listen for. So now we can go back over here for test input. We can go public input event test event. Wait. Test. I'll go test move. Public. So on test move. Oh, we can actually just kind of copy and paste there, can't we? Boop, doop. Just like that. And so now, over here, whoop, in test action, we can use the same kind of system. Public void move change. Input value. And let me take a drink of water. Refreshing. All right. I want to make a private vector 2 called new movement. So whenever we get this move change, we want to grab that value, whatever it may be, going to tell new movement, yo dog, value dot get, oh, I can't remember what this is. I think it's get, yeah, get float. Wait, no. Vector 2. That's right. Okay. So public. Wait, no. Don't need to make a public void update. Every time update is called by Unity, we're going to say, yo, transform dot position equals new vector 3. We're going to get transform dot position dot x plus, this is very rough by the way for movement controls. I'm just testing to make sure our added stuff works. Okay, so we're going to get to the new movement dot x times time dot delta time. I'm also going to quickly make a public float movement speed. Eh, eh, eh. Movement. My hands aren't on the keyboard anymore. I'm just watching it type. Okay. Movement speed. So this basically says get our x position and then add onto it the the product of our new movement time dot delta time, which makes I'm still not 100% sure what that does, but every script tells me to do it, or every tutorial tells me to do it. And the movement speed. Take all that, add that onto the new position. Then we're going to just get transform wow dot position dot y. So we're just going to get whatever our height value is because it's going to change with our test action. And then transform dot position dot z plus thank you new movement dot y times time dot delta time times movement speed. Just like that. All right. Now, theoretically, this should work. But theoretically is very theoretical. I hope no one can hear my computer because it sounds like it's about to take off. Test movement, or test move. Then puppet. Movement speed, put 5 there. Where I need a new input listener. Copy, paste as new. And instead of the test, we're going to use test move. And instead of action, we're going to call move change. Now, theoretically, when I hit play, our player, we can hit then any button, spawns in, just like that. And now, nope. Something didn't go right. And I think I know what didn't. That's why I'm so silent, is because I know it worked. Definitely. Test move. Okay, let's hop back over here. Oh, that's why. Basically, what I was doing, I was not telling the test move object to raise the flag. I'm telling test event twice. So every time we are hitting the movement keys, we are instead telling the onTest function to fire, pretty much. That should fix it. Just remember, folks, with coding, it's always one line of code. Or one word. Now we're re-importing assets. Look at that baby spin. Alright, look at that. I will then hit play. I then hit any key to join. Look at that. And now I can hit Q, go up, and whoa, look at that! I'm hitting D, A, W, S. And all the lag that's happening is probably just because my computer cannot handle streaming at the same time. And look at that. All right. Well, I hit that. And I think we didn't do much, but this is very fundamental of, okay, in order for the game to work, we need to get input data. So let me I'm going to quit Unity, and we'll kind of wrap up for the day. Kind of quit all that down, shut it all down, no money. Going to re-enable the old Calvin. Where are you, Calvi? No one's ever called me Calvi. There we go! Hello, everyone! Just shutting things down for the day. If you're joining late, I'm very sorry. We're kind of done. Yeah. So, let me head over just to me. Okay. So, I would like to say that we made some progress today. And by progress, I mean progress. That was really laggy. Wow. Gotta figure out how to fix my wrist when I do quotation marks. So, let me kind of just go through what we did and how I'd like to improve. If actions would work. Everything's very laggy. That's a big thing. So, I don't think these kinds of Calvin code streams are going to be sustainable on my current rig. I just don't have enough juice on this rig. So instead, I think what I can do from now on is basically a Calvin just kind of goes through what he did for this week for the game. I'll keep people up to date on Twitter of here's like maybe for the sketchy summer I can kind of draw like here's the texture I made or here's a plan or maybe we'll just do planning sessions from now on of just here's Calvin drawing out something, gets comments from chat. I could do gaming streams though, just because I've got my Switch right above me with a capture card. I could do that off the system, so it wouldn't be as laggy. Um, yeah, I might do that soon. Don't hate me for it, but I play Fortnite. It's a fact I'm not proud of, but I enjoy Fortnite. Yeah. I might do a Fortnite stream where I'm trying to get to level 350. Just get that over with so I can get the fun skin that's involved with that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Well, always tell me on Twitter or on the comments of this video of what you liked, what you didn't. I'll try to do better next time. I at least hope you enjoyed it a little bit here. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.